Yeah.
And I think you said that he would help you with your kids.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by that?
Like he was like their dad. I was a single mom, so if I got off work late, he would walk to the store and get like stuff that they may have needed for lunch or for breakfast the next morning, because we were always running out of milk or bread for their sandwiches. He would. I'm not a morning person, and he was. He had like a strict schedule, so he would, no matter what, always wake up by 7 o'clock. So he would get up in the morning, help me get up. If I was too tired the night before, he would make their lunches for me in the morning. He'd make their oatmeal, their breakfast for them, and just to be helpful because, he was staying with me and didn't have much to offer besides the help, but I really needed it and I really missed it a lot.
Now, you said a minute ago that your brother was diagnosed, his mental health issues were diagnosed later in life.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you mean by that.
So as a child, growing up,
Excuse me, I'm going to object. She doesn't firsthand knowledge diagnosis.
She's already testified about this. But I don't know what difference it makes in terms of years and years ago.
I'm just asking at what point when you said that he was later in life. Do you know approximately when he was diagnosed?
it was for sure in his like late 20s, early 30s.
And did you, let me jump over that for a second. What other kinds of interests did your brother have?
Objection to relevance, Judge.
Sustained.
Hold on. I asked you a question a minute ago about the fact that you were aware that your brother struggled with drug addiction. Do you know, can you just give us an idea of, or do you know what drug he was using?
His drug of choice was meth.
And how were you aware that he had an addiction to methamphetamine?
Well, based off of some of his life choices and also because he told me he struggled with meth use.
I want to ask you about an incident that the defense has raised that happened in 2019, in September of 2019.
Hold on a second. I haven't heard the whole question yet. I haven't.
I want to ask you about an incident that happened in September of 2019. At that time, were you aware that he had had an incident involving the police in 2019?
Yes, I was.
And can you tell the jury, at that point, was Mr. Ellis living with you? Was Manny living with you?
Not yet, no.
And did he come to live with you at some point after that incident?
Yes, he did.
And approximately when was that?
I would say sometime in October, maybe.
And can you tell the jury, in terms of after he came to live with you, what was your brother doing in terms of addressing, if he was doing anything, to address his drug or alcohol issues? Or, excuse me, his drug or mental health issues?
So he was like having to report to the court. I didn't find out until later, but he was going to like Pierce County Alliance by choice. And he also was going to Greater Lakes. He was seeing a psychiatrist there and a counselor and doing like a program there for people that struggle with mental health and drug addiction.
And did you ever take him to any of the appointments for those, to PCA, to Pierce County Alliance, or to Greater Lakes Mental Health?
Yeah, that was our routine. I dropped him off at those appointments once I got everybody to school and daycare.
And at some point, you said that Mr. Ellis was living with you from sometime in October or thereabouts, is that right?
Yes.
Did he stop living with you at some point in either late 2019 or early 2020?
Yes, he did.
And why was that?
Well, we had talked about him getting...
Why did he move out? Was the question? I think she was explaining that.
It's the preamble to the answer, I think, is the objection.
Why don't we first establish when did he move out?
When did Manny move out from your house, approximately?
January of 2020.
And why did he move out?
Well, like I was saying, we had talked about him getting on his feet and taking his sobriety seriously. And I was called by his child's mother, and she told me that he had relapsed. And my rule with Manny this last go around with him living with me was if he used again, he would need to go to some form of sober living and to be living with people that he could relate with and get more support and more help with.
And had you spoken to Manny about the idea that he needed to go into sober living?
Yeah, prior to him relapsing, I had spoken to him about it because I knew that there was ways for him to get access to certain services that he wouldn't be able to have access to if he was housed with me.
And when did you learn that from his child's mother that Manny had relapsed?
I don't remember the exact time because he took the bus down there for Christmas to go see the baby, and he had stayed there for about a week. So I'm gonna say it was maybe like 2 days before Christmas is when he went. So I think she may have called me like either like a day or two after Christmas or before New Year's. I can't remember. It was like 4 years ago.
And you said down there, where did he go?
Spokane, Washington.
And then what happened when when Manny came back from Spokane after you learned that?
So he came to my house because he had stuff at my house. He came to my house. We had talked about it. He had asked me like if I could give him another chance, and I said no. Like you need to go. Like this will be good for you. Just wait, you'll see. And then he had stayed with a friend for maybe 1 or 2 days and got into housing.
Now it's becoming a narrative. Let's ask another question.
And you said that you talked to him and told him that he couldn't stay with you. And you had mentioned that you had told him he needed to get into sober living. Were you aware of whether or not Manny got into a sober living situation?
Yes.
And when was that?
It was 1 or 2 days after. I don't even think it was full 24 hours. He got into that housing like almost right away.
And do you know where that housing was or who it was run by?
Yes, Kimberly Mays. I can't remember the name of the exact house, or the company name, but her name was Kimberly Mays. And it was off of Pacific Avenue, the first house in Tacoma.
And you said the first house. Did Manny change houses? Or?
Yeah, they actually let him move into the other house where they kind of keep, those are like where I'm not going to say like favorites, but people that are on a better track, that's where they move them to once they've been at the first house for, I think, like a month or so.
And do you know where that house was located?
I do. I don't know the exact address, but it was in the same area. It's like 11 minutes away from where he was killed.
Can you tell the jury, after Manny moved into the sober living house, how often did you have contact with him?
Still every day. And I still took him to his meetings. But sometimes, because other people that he lived with,
Excuse me, Your Honor, it's not responsive to the question.
Doesn't seem to be. Go ahead.
You would see him on a regular basis? And you said that you would take him to appointments, is that right? What appointments were you taking him to?
to mental health appointments, doctor's appointments, court, and like the meetings at Pierce County Alliance.
And so she said you lived with your brother for some period of time. Were you familiar with his routines?
Yes.
You made mention earlier that he would go out to the store.
Yes.
Can you tell us, what was your observation about his routine as it related to getting any snacks?
That's what Manny did, and he would always ask if we wanted anything, or like I said, he wouldn't drive. He didn't drive, so that's why he would walk to the store. He didn't want to risk getting pulled over because he didn't have a license.
And do you know what kinds of things he would buy at the store?
Yeah, he would get like Mambas, water, Gatorade, raspberry-filled donuts, Reese's peanut butter cups, Sour Patch Straws, Gushers, stuff like that.
Junk food?
Junk food, yeah.
When is the last time that you spoke to your brother before you learned that he had died?
It was like, I think like February 28th. Like, I think I was on my way home from work and it was like a video chat. We talked for a really long time.
And did you text or have other contact with him after that, or do you recall?
Yeah, I texted him the morning, I guess, that he had died. I told him that I'd call him back. I didn't know he had died though, so I just said like I went to bed early and I'll call you on my break or something like that.
Are you talking about the morning of March 4th, 2020?
Yes.
So let's talk about March 3rd, 2020. Did you have any contact with your brother on that day?
No, I didn't talk to him, but I heard him on the phone.
And tell us about that. What did you hear on the phone?
He was trying to get my mom to come to church with him because he had just gotten back from revival and it was like a good experience for him, and he wanted her to come to church. He had told her that she looked pretty. He sounded really happy and like upbeat.
And how was it that you heard this conversation with him?
I was in the other room from her. Like my door was open and then her room was like across the hall a little bit. And it was a FaceTime call, I believe, because it was like loud. You could hear it.
And you said that earlier that the next day that you had texted him before you knew that he had died. Is that right?
Yeah, because I had a missed call from him.
And when you say you had a missed call from him, what do you mean?
I had a missed video call from him.
And when had he tried to call you?
It was like around like 9:30 at night, I believe, between 9:30 and 10.
On March 3rd?
Yes.
I'm having marked 896A.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
Your mic's on.
Thank you.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
Honey, I'm handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 896A. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's a missed video call from my brother.
Is that a screenshot from your phone?
Yes.
And is that something that you provided in the course of this case?
Yes.
I'd offer 896A.
Mr. Conrad? 896A is admitted.
May I publish, Your Honor?
Proceed.
All right, is that the, and you can see it up on this screen as well. Is it on your screen too?
Yes.
And is that from your phone showing the time that your brother tried to call?
Yes.
And it sounds like you didn't speak to him that night.
No.
Can you tell the jury what happened after that night? How did you learn about your brother's death?
I got a phone call from someone from the medical examiner's office, telling me that they had my brother's body there with him.
And when was that call from the medical examiner's office?
It was like March 4th. I actually had to call him back. I was working and I had a missed call and I listened to the voicemail and I stepped away from my desk and I called back and it's probably like around 10:30, 11 o'clock a.m.
And after you received that call from the medical examiner's office, at that point, did you have any idea what had happened? Were you told when your brother had died?
No,
Did you have any information about, other than the phone call you'd heard the night before?
I didn't have any information. I wasn't told anything. I wasn't given any information.
And so what did you do after you got that call from the medical examiner's office?
I started looking up anything I could find about a black man being killed in Tacoma, Washington on March 3rd and March 4th.
And did you, how did you look for that information, or where did you go, what website?
Facebook, Google at first, and then Facebook, and then Tacoma Files posts a lot about like local crime in Tacoma and Pierce County.
And did you find any information on Compton Files?
Yes, I did.
And without telling us what you found, after you found that information, what did you do in terms of your finding out about your brother's death?
I downloaded the Ring app to see if there was any video footage on anything or anyone talking about it in that area.
And let me ask you a better question. Did you subsequently talk to the people at the Sober Living about what had happened to your brother?
Yeah, I
Or
called.
about your brother's night?
Yeah, I called Kimberly and I asked her if she.
That's right. She talked to Kimberly. That's all you asked her if she had or not.
So you talked to Kimberly Mays?
Yes.
And what, if any, information, based on, was she able to provide you any information about what she knew about your brother's activities on the night of March 3rd?
Yes.
And as a result of that information, did you also do anything else to try to find out what your brother had done that evening?
Well, I went to the 7-Eleven to talk to the clerks to see if they knew of anything, of any police activity, or had to call the police on anybody, or knew my brother.
And what 7-Eleven did you go to?
The one right off of 96th and it's like between Hosmer and Steele Street in Tacoma.
And did you speak to anybody who worked at the 7-Eleven?
Yes, I did.
And can you describe the person that you spoke to?
She was a Pacific Islander woman. I think she was a supervisor. And she knew the person that worked the night before.
I can move on, Your Honor.
I'm not sure we need all this minutia.
So you spoke to a woman who was a Pacific Islander at appeared to be a Pacific Islander background at the 7-Eleven, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you went into the 7-Eleven, were you by yourself or were you with anybody?
No, my son was with me.
One of your children?
Yes.
And approximately when was that you went into the 7-Eleven, if you recall?
I don't recall really. Maybe it was like the March 5th, between March 5th and March 6th. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
And based on the information you received, did you have reason to believe your brother had been at that 7-Eleven?
Yes.
All right, I want to just ask you about after that period of time when you spoke at the 7-Eleven, did you do anything to try to get public awareness about your brother's death?
Yes.
And can you just tell us generally what you did?
Projections from others,
Well, really, I think the only thing that's relevant is what was the result of her efforts.
Did you, and perhaps I can just lead to address the issues. Did you put information out on social media asking for information about anyone knew anything about your brother's death?
Yes.
And did you put information out to the media about asking if anybody knew anything about your brother's death?
Yes.
And at some point, did someone contact you and indicate they might have some information about your brother's death?
Yes.
And when was that? Do you recall?
It was like the first week of June of 2020.
And I'm going to have you look at an exhibit. First of all, Monet, how did this person contact you?
Through Facebook Messenger.
I'm sorry, did you say through a text message?
Facebook Messenger.
Facebook message, I'm sorry, thank you.
And for those of us who don't use Facebook, can you just describe what that is?
It's a separate messaging app that's connected to Facebook where people can send messages to people on their friends list or not on their friends list.
May I approach, Your Honor? Handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 893. You take a look and tell us if you recognize that document.
Yes.
What is it?
It's a screenshot of the person that shared the video with me, contacting me about information she had about my brother.
And is that a screenshot of the message from Facebook Messenger?
Yes.
I would offer 893.
Sorry?
Objections, hearsay.
Can I see it?
It's hard to reach.
I'll get there, thank you. Any other objections?
A number of concerns about it. It's hearsay, and then some of the statements are, I think, contained in there, not relevant and inflammatory.
Overruled, I don't think this goes to the truth of the matter. It has to do with how she was contacted and the result of her trying to get information about her brother's death. So, 893 is admitted.
Thank you. May we publish, Your Honor?
Proceed.
Right, Monet, can you just tell us, according to this message, what time did you receive this message? What date and time?
June 4th, 2020 at 7:56 a.m.
Okay, and if you could just read the message for us, please.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I read about your brother last night. First time seeing the story. I was there the night of. I was behind the cop car driving home. I have some information along with footage. My phone number is 1-253-495-4291.
And what did you do after you received this message, Monet?
I asked her to call me.
And did you attempt to, it looks like there was an audio call there. Did you attempt to call her or did she call you?
I tried to call her on Facebook.
And is there a second message on there?
Yes.
And what's the message say?
You're really going to want the video. The information the cops gave, and that is everywhere, is a lie.
And you indicated, please call me in response?
Yes.
All right. And did you end up speaking, and when you first got this message, did you have any idea who this person was?
No.
No one you'd ever met before?
No.
And did you eventually learn her name?
Yes.
And what's her name?
Sarah McDowell.
And did you speak to Miss McDowell?
Yes, I did.
And can you just tell us, after that phone call with her, what did you do?
I held a press conference, went to try to get the medical examiner's report, and met with her.
And maybe I should back up. Prior to that occurring, did she mentioned the video, did she send you any information?
Yes, she sent me the video and also screenshots showing like timestamps of the video when it happened and where it took place at.
I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 31. May I approach, Your Honor? Handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 31. Can you take a look and tell the jury whether or not you recognize that document?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, it's my phone information, my phone data information, and then messages between Sarah and I.
And what's the date on those messages?
June 4th, 2020 at 8:46 a.m.
And are those the screenshots showing the video that Sarah McDowell sent you?
Yes.
I'd offer Exhibit 31.
Can I say to counsel quickly?
Yes, of course.
Judge, can I be heard outside the presence?
In a moment.
I couldn't hear you.
In a moment.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I object on a couple of bases. One is hearsay.
Hold on a second. So we got some objections.
Yes, sir.
Somebody wants me to hear it outside the presence, so we'll do that. Ladies and gentlemen, please, we're about at the time of our break anyway, so for your sake, you can go ahead and take your break. Do not discuss case among yourselves or anyone else, and do not permit anyone to discuss case with you or in your presence.